Greetings, it is I, Countess Naravan Dracovin, Lord and Emperor of the Dracovin Empire, and welcome. It is time to continue my discussion on the 5th edition of Dungeons & Dragons, 5th Ed D&D. When we last left off, we began talking about the environments that you could explore, of course, dungeons, and we started dungeon mapping. We've been talking about features of the dungeon. Let's finish up talking about features of the dungeon today. Alright, we talked about secret doors last time. Concealed doors. Now, concealed doors are something else that you can encounter. While a secret door is hidden, blending in with a wall, a concealed door just has stuff over top of it. It could be some kind of cloth blocking it, boxes maybe blocking it, some kind of piece of furniture in the way of this door. It's only concealed. Now, granted, if someone's basically looking around for one of these things, no check, they find it automatically. But if they're not particularly looking for it, a proper passive wisdom perception score will actually manage it. So, if you have enough wisdom perception, passive enough, you'll notice it. Again, you could always make an active search to sort of like look around the area and be like, oh, there's a concealed door over there. I just have to move this stuff out of the way, or, move this tarp out of the way, and oh, there it is. I looked in the right spot. That's it. You looked in the right spot. Now, another feature is a portcullis. Portcullis are like iron bars, usually spaced a little bit apart with some horizontal cross beams. They could be made of wood, they could be made of metal. They're usually used to separate two areas out where a guard's kind of can raise and lift it as a blocking point, a choke point, but also if they really needed to, they could use ranged attacks through there, whether arrows or spells or whatever. It doesn't block them from being able to do that. Now, most portcullises are activated nearby by some kind of winch and chain where if you pull it up, it moves it up. If you put it back down, it puts it back down. If you use an action to operate a portcullis, if you can't have access to that winch, you could always use brute strength to try to lift it up. Now, the DC is going to depend on the size of your portcullis, the basic material it's made of, because that's going to affect the weight, and effectively how difficult it ends up being to lift. There's multiple factors, material, size, things like that make it more difficult or easier difficult to lift up using brute strength, but it's a possibility that you could do that. You could just and lift up your portcullis. Now, darkness. It's the natural habitat of the dungeon, especially underground dungeons or deep within a basic ruins on the surface. Even it's going to be very dark more often than not. And the fact is, people, heroes, characters can't see there. Sometimes they can, some have dark vision, but not always. Generally speaking, most of them need some kind of light source. Now, the fact is, things that live in a dungeon, sometimes they can not have to see in the dark. Other times, they might need a light source themselves in order to travel around. Depends on the type of creature living here. But a sheer fact of the matter is, most creatures that need to eat, need to have warmth, and maybe even need some defense are going to use fire. So there will be some light and there will be some heat in some areas. Even with most subterranean races, they're going to do that. Because, yes, fire's good for cooking your food you're going to eat. It's good for warmth. And it's basically good to, keep things away. So fire is very useful even to subterranean creatures. Not all creatures that live underground need warmth or food. Undead, constructs, things like that. So the fact is that they won't need light. They can exist in the pure darkness all the time. Your characters are going to need torches, lamps, lanterns, whatever it is, in order to see. Now, the fact is, in dark underground, this is something that other things can see. While you only have a limited amount of range with whatever light source you have, things can see you from farther away. They can notice your light, they know you're there. Now, the fact is, let's say we're in pitch darkness, a bright light could be seen miles away. The advantage of being underground is, usually you don't have quite such long periods of line of sight. There's usually passages, rooms, everything else in the way. So generally speaking, this bright light only alerts things that are so close by, that are generally pretty close by anyway, so you might notice them. So that is one of those advantages of in one of these places normally, though there can be exceptions, especially large chambers, things like that, where your light is just a beacon, and over there they notice it. There are things that will hunt by using this, that will use your light to know where you are and hunt you down. Things will do that. Think of it this way. If you see some kind of light in a dungeon, most times, more often than not, adventurers are going to check out. If it's a glowing portal or some kind of phosphorus and moss, they're going to see what it is. The same is for lights for adventurers and monsters in a dungeon. They're going to check it out. They're going to be like, ooh, what's that over there? Let me find out. Air. Now, when we talk about air in a dungeon, you have to think of it this way. Most dungeons aren't sealed off. But if you're deep underground or deep within the center of some kind of chambers, there really isn't air circulation. So, though, again, there is a little bit of exchange, so you're not going to be suffocating or running out of air. It's not sealed tight. The fact is, it's still going to be stagnant and overpowering in these areas, that you're going to feel this oppressiveness of being in these areas where the air is thin and just barely enough for you to survive. Yeah, And the fact is, any kind of odors in the air will linger. Because the air, there's no circulation or anything, it's just going to be there. So if there was some kind of odor in the air way long ago, it's going to continue to be there in those areas. Now, sound is a feature within the dungeon. The fact is, sound travels and echoes underground quite effectively. Think of it this way. My opening a door, if it makes some kind of creaking noise, more likely that creak is going to echo hundreds of feet away, more than one room away. So something might be alerted by my opening this door because it's going to make noise. The sounds of battle or from some kind of large clash or some kind of very loud noise can often be heard throughout a dungeon. This is some way that intelligent inhabitants of a dungeon are alerted. They might know you're there and be ready for you then. Other creatures, well, they might hunt by sound, and you're ringing the dinner bell with making noise that they're like, ooh, something is here to eat. Wonderful. So you can see that noise and sound are something that you're going to have to consider when in a dungeon. Just like you're considering light, sound also is considering. And both of them are easy ways that you can attract things in a dungeon to you. Basically ringing a little bit of a dinner bell or ringing a security warning to intelligent creatures that might not like you being in their home. You basically have gone ding-a-ding-a-ding-a-ding-a-ding-a-ding-a. Hey, I'm here. Come on, check me out. Yeah. But that's it for today. I went over the rest of the dungeon features. I started with the concealed doors, which are somewhere in between a normal door and a secret door. They're basically a door that's just got stuff in front of it, so you can't see it right away. But, enough perception or, just taking a general look around, you're going to find it. Then I talked about portcullises. Something that's not quite a door, because it's not as filled in. You can attack from either side of it. But, you need either a winch and chain to open it, or, lift it up, strong arm it up. Both are options, but, there are a structure that separates out two areas. Then I talked about 3 more metaphysical properties. Darkness. Of course, I talked about air and sound. Air, not usually much of a concern for you. Most dungeons aren't sealed enough that you're going to be like, suffocating from it. It doesn't have great air, but it's going to have stagnant air. And the fact is that darkness and sound are 2 of those big factors, because darkness, most heroes can't deal with it. They're going to need a light source. And light source attracts things just like sound attracts things. Yep, both are dangerous things to deal with. In the next episode, we're going to talk about dungeon hazards, bad things that are there, and move on to mapping wildernesses. Ooh, we're moving on from dungeons to wildernesses and talking about mapping them. But if you have any questions, comments, anything you want to say, anything you think I left out, please leave in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. It shows support the channel, the empire, the work I do. If you want to show some extra support, you can always check out my Patreon, link description below. I've got some great rewards there and helps to grow and build the channel and improve it. But regardless, until next time, I bid you farewell.